Hello everyone, I hope you're all doing very well. So when the F-14 was released in early March 2019, the first thing I did was to do a whole series of tests to test its performance. Maximum ceiling, maximum instantaneous altitude, maximum speed, maximum acceleration, maximum climb, blah 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 blah. And a lot of them were very spurious and basically rubbish. You know, the maximum ceiling we found was 100,000 feet and stuff like that, which is obviously, simply not possible. So they've obviously, Heatblur, the guys who made this, have been changing it over the last few months. It's now, early July 2019, so they've had 4 months. I think that's long enough for them to get it right. So this will be the final test of the F-14B, and we're expecting a lot to have been changed in this 4 months. So what we're going to do is do a few tests. Today's going to be the ceiling and the instantaneous altitude, and then put it in its table. At the end of this, we'll go through the summary, compare it to all the other fighters, and that will be its standing in DCS. So to test the maximum ceiling, what that means is basically sustained altitudes. We're going to have what we call our usual universal test values. So 10% gas internal only, fuel burn turned off, which is, that is unrealistic obviously, but that's how we're doing all of these aircraft to keep everything uniform. No stalls on the plane. 20 degrees centigrade at sea level. QNH is set to 29.92 inches mercury. And to do the actual test, so the instantaneous speed is going to be easy. We're going to build up as much energy as we can in the bird and then fly up at what we consider an optimum angle and get as high as we can before we stall. That is going to be our maximum instantaneous. It has no real useful value. It's just an interesting thing to test, we find. And the maximum ceiling is the maximum height that we can sustain essentially forever, because we've got fuel burn turned off. We want to find the maximum altitude at which we can keep flying straight. And this is not the same as how they measure the ceiling of an aircraft in real life. That is a little bit different. We're just doing it the way that we do it because we can do it this way in DCS. So we're going to see what altitude we can sustain max power without the aircraft slowing down, basically. So let's get straight on with it. Max power. The way we're going to be reporting this is satellite telemetry. So we've got here true speed, which is, because there's no wind, almost identical to ground speed. So we're going to treat this, true speed, that's fine, that'll do us. That's what we've been doing for all of the other ones. So we'll get some altitude now and report back in a bit. Okay, within a few hundred feet, the maximum I can get with max power and the wings back is 67,241. Let me write that down. So again, that's satellite, so that doesn't take into account any air pressure or anything. That is just literally how far we are above sea level if you put a measuring tape down there. And we're pretty slow at the moment. We are, indicated airspeed, we are now 163 knots. And an angle of 7.4 degrees alpha, so we couldn't really get much higher than that because with the wings back, we're stalling now basically. So what we're going to try, just out of interest, is put the wings forward, force the wings forward, and just see if we can get higher. I suspect we probably will be able to, but we'll see. So stand by. Let me just get that sorted. Okay, so I force the wings forward. Oh, she's going a bit. Let's just calm that down. Right, now I thought we'd be able to get a lot higher like this, but it doesn't feel like it. We are about to stall ourselves. And we're actually going down. No, it's going to stall. Just it won't do it. Personally, I don't think that's very realistic, but then again, I don't really know what I'm talking about, so no, that's a stalling. So putting the wings out, for whatever reason, in a Tomcat, July 2019, you cannot get any higher. It just stalls for reasons I don't really understand. So that's that. In these conditions with wing swept, which appears to be optimal for altitude for some reason, 67,241 feet. So what we've got to test now is the maximum instantaneous height that we can get, and this isn't particularly repeatable, scientific or empirical, but it is a good bit of fun. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to dive down, pick up as much kinetic and potential energy or mechanical energy as I can in the bird. I'm going to pull up to what I see fit to be optimal, and then let's see how high we can get it satellite above sea level. Put those babies back, put the nose down. Okay. Pew, bang. So the difficult thing here is to judge at which point should you pull up, at maximum speed or at a higher altitude and less speed, and I never really know what the answer is. I usually go about 10,000 feet above where we would find our maximum speed, and that seems to give us the best trade-off. Right, I'm in trim problems now. Okay, we're at Mach 1.6 now. Boom, boom. Mach 1.8. Mach 1.9. Mach 2 plus, master caution. Mach 2.1. Nearly Mach 2.2. I think that's as high as fast as we're going. This feels like the right time to trade. So we're going to trade now. Up we go. Nice and easy, don't want to put any G's on the airframe. Still over Mach 2. Welche gut ist. 50,000 feet. Just hit Mach 2 there. Mach 1.8, 60,000 feet. So supersonic. 250 knots, about to stall. 77,000 feet, 78,000 feet. Engines will cut very shortly. There's no oxygen up here for them. $94, $95, $96, still going. $97. Struggling to keep the nose up now. $98. Oh. Just going to roll over. 98.4 I saw, 98, so let's get that. So, the maximum instantaneous altitude we can get with parameters, our usual parameters, 98,400 satellite ASL, and ceiling with the parameters 67,241. It's going to get a Mach, and let's bring up the other comparisons and see where she stands. Okay, so we've got all of the records shown here. We've got the sustained altitudes on the left and the instant attained altitude on the right, and I've included the old F-14B records in there just for fun, really. They don't mean anything now. So we used to have the ceiling, the F-14B, the old one, at 100,000 feet where it flamed out. Obviously it was unrealistic, so they went away and fixed it. I'm glad those videos are useful for something. And the F-14B now, July 2019, and probably how it will stay, is a max attainable with given parameters of 67,241, just below the F-15, just above the Mirage, which is exactly where we would put it if we were thinking realistically in terms of the lift it generates, the power of its engines, the weight of the aircraft, exactly where it's expected to be. So I've got that right now, which is good. Let me know if you have any disagreements or whatever, but that's that. And instantaneous, this one's a little less empirical because, you know, it depends on factors, what speed you pull up, you know, what angle you pull up and stuff, but for a bit of fun, we can see, again, it's pretty much where we would expect it to be, 98,400, just above the Mirage, just below the Flanker. F-15C is at the top, just, you know, it's immense speed and power, just it allows you to get so much mechanical energy in that, and the MiG-29. So it's almost a test of max mechanical energy, this instantaneous altitude, so maybe it does have some interest, some use. That's it. They seem to have got it right now in terms of altitude. Let me know what you guys think, and we'll see you later.